You don't really see a lot of games about cameras, but when I get my hands on one I can always be sure that it's going to play well. I think it's because the controls are usually snappy. For today's bad review, we're getting our subject in focus in Randy's camera. I bet you're wondering what the hell Randy's camera is, and I'm going to be honest, that's perfectly fair. In fact, one of my harshest criticisms for it is that it looks blander than if oatmeal and cardboard were left in a mixing bowl overnight so that their flavors could marry. If the concept of being generic were something that were sold on the market, Randy's camera would be store brand. As an illustration of what I mean, take a look at these silhouettes of beloved characters spanning multiple genres. Odds are, even if you don't have any of the details apart from shape, they're readily identifiable. Now take a look at our pal Randy. Homeboy is a tic-tac. If you saw this dude's shadow skulking about your room in the middle of the night, you might think it was a Diglett with feet. Or worse, as one player pointed out, a minion. Even with his details filled in, he kind of looks like Blue Regard Q Kazoo's special needs cousin. And then you have the title, which communicates that that dude doesn't even matter. It's not even relevant. Not only is Randy already a name that shares the intrigue level of Jerry or Paul, the word camera is written in orange, which is the most attention-grabbing color. That's why it's used for roadwork and safety vests. In contrast with the cool blue, it's warm, exciting, and it's not used anywhere else in the logo. Plus, it's slightly larger. It definitively tells you that Randy can go fuck himself because this game is all about the camera, baby. What's your name? Paul? Check this out, Paul. Boom. Randy can't do that. That motherfucker can't even jump. If Randy has a wife, his camera would probably cuck him. Pinky, you did Randy dirty. Real dirty. Maybe that's why Dirty Randy racked up so many kills while we weren't looking. I'm looking forward to the sequel, Randy's Gun. Now, the reason that I attacked the design before even getting into the gameplay is because it sets the tone for a lot of people. When I looked at it, for instance, I wasn't really sure whether or not it was going to be worth playing, and I dreaded having to tell someone that seemed to genuinely like my content that their game just isn't that good. When the first thing that you see are the logo or screenshots, it looks like what you would expect from someone's first Flash game. It looks like the way you would design a game if you were afraid of people actually playing it, so you dull it down as much as humanly possible to avoid that discomfort. Once you start playing, it might grow on you as it has with me, but that's not the best in terms of marketing or reach. For me personally, it also made me impatient. While I was playing it, I had preconceptions of what sorts of things I was going to complain about, only to be surprised that the issue was addressed a little bit later. I just hadn't waited long enough for the game to ramp up. So it's a style that has to grow on you while simultaneously negatively affecting the odds that it will have the opportunity to do so. With all that out of the way, let's return to the question of what Randy's camera is. It's a good puzzle game with clever mechanics utilized in brilliant ways. You use Randy's camera and its various modes to find ways to navigate the map and collect film reels, while also maintaining your finite ability to actually take pictures. At first, it seems like simply looking through the viewfinder to figure out what you can interact with would make for an easy, if not obvious, puzzle game. But as you progress through every subsequent level, the developer manages to coax you along a buttery smooth difficulty curve as the mechanics begin to pile up and interact with one another. The level designs in terms of functionality are well designed in that they are the puzzles themselves. The solution is to find all of the collectibles in what amounts to a specified number of moves. But that level is of course comprised of further puzzles that demand efficient execution to keep you from blowing too many resources to finish the level. For your average player, the core gameplay loop might require a lot of resetting, which can feel a bit tedious from time to time, but it's never in the form of trial and error. From the beginning of every level, you can examine the whole environment and come up with a plan of action to execute, and there's no time limit to rush you. Careful thought and patient planning is therefore rewarded, while trying to cheat puzzles through brute force is penalized. This is especially true of the optional collection of pinkies, which disappear if you get too close to them and are easy to run smack into if you aren't paying attention. When it comes to actual problems with the game itself, there's not much to say. The only real irritation I faced that I wouldn't classify as entirely my own stupid fault was that selecting a stage on the map led to a loading screen that you then had to push a button on to trigger the level. That's a bit redundant when I already had to select the level to begin with, and the fact that it's just a low-key message in the lower part of your screen left me staring at it for a few moments before I remembered that I had to perform an action. That's really just a quality of life thing. I also finished a level with just enough resources to get everything, but then I couldn't end the level because I lacked the ability to take a picture of the exit. Now, it could just be personal preference, and maybe that's intentional in order to prompt a more efficient solution, but I personally think finishing the level should be a give me, especially since you already don't have to collect everything in order to finish them, which means that it's not skill-based by default. Given that what I played was only a demo and a lot of things are subject to be changed or reworked, I'll refrain from giving a score. But there is a lot to love about this little ditty of a puzzle game. The demo is free for download through Game Jolt. I'll leave a link in the description below, so be sure to check it out. I can assure you that it will be a pleasant surprise. Thank you everyone for watching, and special thanks to Pinky Studios for not only reaching out to me with their game, but giving me the liberty to be a complete asshat. Interacting with developers is one of my favorite parts about making videos, and I'm incredibly grateful to have had the opportunity to play your game and give you my thoughts. I'm not over-exaggerating when I say that your level design and technical conceptualization is sharp, but I would say that Randy deserves a stronger presentation. I think you've gone with a look that's safe, but it fades into the background in terms of similarity and the fact that it looks like it has very little to offer if you're older than 8 years old. At any rate, I look forward to seeing the final product. Until then, remember that failure is not the worst case scenario, to glow on with your bad selves, and stay awesome.